Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. On the channel we post writing tips, unboxings, book hauls, book reviews and the occasional vlog. And today I have another book review for you, and it is Apples in the Dark by John Alex Taylor. This was a book club read for me, and John Alex Taylor is a local author here in Wales, so I believe that's why this was chosen for our book club, to support local authors and new independent authors as well. And it was quite a fascinating read. As always with my book reviews, I'll read you guys the blurb first. Don't forget, if you like what you see, to subscribe to this channel. Your continued support means a lot, so thank you guys so much. Rachel walked off towards her office in Newport Road, and I kept watching until she disappeared into the crowd. Odd. She was heading in the other direction when she panicked. Mom, we should, I don't know, be friends? A mother and daughter meet a stranger on a Cardiff bus. For 10-year-old Alice, it's simple. The three of them need each other, but adults never see the obvious. Alice needs an ally who knows how it feels to be excluded for her intelligence. Beth has neglected her artistic career in the struggle to support Alice. Scientist Rachel has epilepsy, a hidden disability, and she has grown to expect all friendships to end in failure. Alice's loyalty to her new friend never wavers, and mysterious, possibly angelic assistance comes in a form that makes Rachel doubt her sanity. The author drew on his own experience of epilepsy and the way it skewed his expectations to tell Rachel's story. Apples in the Dark is the first of a series of novels about the ripples spreading from that initial friendship. The continuing story introduces some vivid characters who will stay with you. It's quite a hefty book. It is about 400 pages. For a book that explores morality and mental health and human emotions and development, it's quite long for that kind of read. For a book that is going into humanity, I generally expect it to be max 200 pages, maybe 300 maximum. Most of the books I read like that are literature, like Japanese translated literature, to be honest. They're normally a little bit shorter because they're going into something very interesting and very unique, but generally they don't have a major plot. Now, that is one thing about this book. It is so fascinating, and I did enjoy reading it. It was very interesting. It does go on a bit long for me, but that is my main criticism. It is very fascinating, and one that I would recommend people to read, even just to learn what it's like to have epilepsy, what it's like to have panic attacks, and how the world treats you, how the world feels, and how different it can be. It's very fascinating for that. Let's jump into my quotes from this book. Page 6. She smelt hot and panicky. This I talk about actually in my writing anxiety writing tips video. That link is above me now if you haven't seen that. One of the things that me and my partner know, so I get anxiety and panic attacks, and something that we've both realized, because he also struggles with social anxiety, and there's a difference in the smell of sweat from exercise sweat to scared sweat. And I talk about that in my writing tips video, of how if you're going to write anxiety, maybe look for the not obvious. And yeah, John Alex Taylor did that straight away and went for the smell of sweat and how it smells different. And I really appreciated that. I also found it quite funny because this happened in my writing tips on writing dialogue, because I filmed that video and then I had to film me whilst editing it, because I had to use an example of The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern, because the writing dialogue is, oh good. The same thing happened with this. I filmed my writing anxiety video, then I read this, and I had to go back in and add it. Page 15. I didn't want to be alone. I did not want to be alone. I didn't know if that was an accidental repeat, but it was labouring the point a bit for me. Page 43. I wasn't expecting Dad to turn up dead this time. It happened too often. I'd expected him to turn up dead before, but he'd always come back. This again just felt a little bit repetitive. We could have stopped at the dead this time. Page 57. I was having a holiday inside Alice Howell's, figuring me out, and Mum didn't interrupt. We all need this, so I really love Alice and her mum, how her mum gives her space, and to just sit in silence in your own mind is actually really important. And I just love how, as a child, she's given the opportunity to do that. Page 62 to 64 is just an amazing description of having a seizure. It was represented so well, and I've never had a seizure, and it was such an insight to learn what that's like and to learn what someone's going through and how to deal with that as well. If you see someone having a seizure, really useful. I did, however, notice it says convulsing by I got here. Was that missing a word? Page 207. Beth and Alice possibly move in with Rachel, and for me, that felt like a good place to end the story. This is what I mean, if it sort of felt like it goes on a bit. There were a few grammar and sentence mistakes throughout. I have already mentioned two. Page 361, you alive is all should be your. 250, I needed another looked, should have been look. I took off my shades off on page 73, and you're sensitive about that kind of thing on page 143, which is the wrong you're. There are just a couple in there. This is a debut novel. I would expect a few less mistakes like that, but then I believe this may have been independently published. It means that John Alex Taylor was paying themselves for the editor, so it's something that might have been picked up if it was edited a bit more precisely. Page 201, even that she wasn't planning on sharing a bed with Mum, and that bit made me laugh. Mum snores and she farts in her sleep. I thought this was a good representation of a child, which Alice is, and you can forget that because she has an adult's mind and is so intelligent, but she is a child, so she still acts like a child, and it's good to have that represented. Page 214, loud noises downstairs warned me of incoming small human. Accurate. I also love how Rachel uses the term small human. That's something me and Matt would refer to a child as, which I think might not be normal, but it's so true. My final quote is page 250. It's a great conversation regarding the consent of a photo taken during a seizure, which was just very good. The consent aspect of that, very much appreciated. And chapter 45 is a really good look into someone being in a coma and also some people being on the outside of that coma. Overall, as I said at the start of this video, John Alex Taylor has written about a topic which is not written about enough. It is a topic which needs more representation, A, for the people who do suffer from these things, but B, for people around them to know what they're going through and also how to act to help. It still felt too long for me and did have some grammatical and sentence errors which could have been caught by editors. It is a debut novel and I did feel that, but what John Alex Taylor is showing is so important. It was hard for me to judge this book. I think if what it was showing was not so important, it would be lower down for me, but what it is showing is so vital and represented so well, I couldn't do that to this book. Let me go into my overall review. For enjoyment, I gave this a 6 out of 10. There were parts that I really enjoyed, parts that I didn't. For world building, a 6. It's just standard world. Plot, I gave it a 3. The book is very character driven, and if you're not new to my channel, you'll know I love a character driven book. But you do need the plot to move forward, and this, because John Alex Taylor is really experimenting and delving into mental health and disabilities in modern day society, that is what they are focusing on, and they're not necessarily focusing on the start and end goal of the book itself. So I gave plot 3 out of 10. Writing style, I'm gonna give a 5 out of 10. There were just quite a few errors. Originality, 10 out of 10. Mwah. I have not read a book with representation of this, and likewise representation, 10 out of 10. I haven't read books with people who are having seizures. Bear in mind I read mostly fantasy, but I haven't read it, so that was fascinating. And finally, characterization, I gave it an 8 out of 10. I did get the characters independently, I didn't generally get them confused. Overall, if this book was not tackling a area which I feel is really not represented enough, I would have given this 2 stars. But this book is very important and I would recommend people to read this. I will be handing it out for people to read because the topic is just so important. The representation is so pure. So I'm going to give this book 3 stars out of 5. I would recommend, but just know, for me personally, sometimes it felt like a bit of a slog to get through, but that's just the length. Some bits just felt like it needed edited down, but at the same time, I honestly couldn't tell you what I would remove from the book in order to do that. There is another book after this, which is the story Angels and Blackbirds, which tells the story of Emmy, which is one of the characters you meet in this book. And I would be interested to read that because Emmy is on a different part of the mental health and mental disability spectrum. So I'd be quite interested just to read about her, but also if it's this length, I would question it. And that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this book review. If you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. If you'd like to see as soon as I upload, click that little bell down below. You can also follow me on Instagram, Facebook and Tumblr. I post my book pictures as well as my writing tips and unboxings on there. This book is so important for representation and also just a challenge to other authors of it can be done and you can write very wholesome, very full characters with various types of disability. You don't have to shy away from it. I know John Alex Taylor has a background in working with disability and things like that. He has inside knowledge, but you don't have to shy away from it. It is a very well represented book and very important, and I do look forward to John Alex Taylor writing more. I would love to see how their writing progresses, so I'm still open to this author.